And good Friday afternoon to everybody out there. Hope you're having an outstanding time. We have got a lot to talk about. A lot to talk about. If I can figure out how to use these things. Hey, I am not a technological wizard, as some of you might know. Let's see if we can figure this out here. Here we go. I think. I think. Oh my gosh. One of these days I'll figure out. Hey, a lot going on today. A lot. And if you don't already know, you're getting ready to find out here, hopefully, here in a little bit. And man, if you didn't hear the news, finally the Big Ten gets it done. Harbaugh is suspended for 2 games. Immediately, Michigan goes into, no, wait, that's not fair mode. Again, if he had lost all these games to Ohio State like he did up till 2 years ago, we wouldn't be having this conversation. He'd probably be fired. But I've lost a lot of respect for an academic institution, a great university, one of the best in the Midwest. Just other than maybe Stanford and the Ivy League, Michigan's right up there. But they are hurting their reputation as an academic institution. No question. They're putting winning football over academics. Now, we know everybody does that, but Michigan's not one of those you'd really expect to go. Michigan's even saber rattling a little bit, threatening maybe to jump out of the Big Ten. Where the frick are they going to go? Seriously, okay? They go into the SEC is the only money close to what the Big Ten pays. The ACC's locked into a bad contract for the next 13 years, and the Big 12 makes half, roughly, of what the Big Ten makes. So I don't see that happening. I just don't. And the tradition, they always talk about, and AAU schools, all that crap, which I think is overblown. Let's see here. I'm trying to figure out how to run my banner, but we'll figure that out. Okay, other things going on. If you didn't hear, some little wimpy football player at Ole Miss decided to, 8 months ago, I guess it was, he just didn't show up for practice. And so he starts getting these messages from the coaches, hey, something wrong? You haven't showed up. We kind of like you at practice if you're going to play this year. He's like, I'm not ready to talk to the head coach yet. When he does come in and talk to the head coach, apparently he has his phone on record in his pocket, so he obviously knew how things were roughly going to go. Comes in and talks to Lane Kiffen, says, I'm not mentally ready to play. I'm, this, which, hey, I'm not making fun of mental illness. Mental illness is a real thing, but what should the guy have done if he has a serious mental illness? He's got, the athletes have things available to them with psychologists, things like that you and I wouldn't have access to. Didn't use any of it, didn't talk to anybody. And then when he does come in, Harbaugh uses a little salty language, which is mild compared to how most coaches would handle it. If you've heard it, it's not really that bad. They bleeped out the bad words, called him a pussy, whatever. You know what? If that's the worst thing that ever happens to you in college with a coach yelling at you, that's great. But if that upsets you, if that triggers you and puts you, you need to run your safe space, you probably don't need to play college sports, let alone college football, which is a very brutal sport. So you got that going. Will Ollie Gordon II get 300 yards tomorrow? A lot of people are thinking he will. Listen, I'm going to tell you, and if I'm wrong, well, I'm wrong, but I don't think I am. I think Oklahoma State's going to clean UCF's clock tomorrow afternoon in Orlando. And this comes from some UCF folks who like, yeah, we were kind of shocked at that point spread too. There's been $1.5 million bet on the OSU side, though, so the spread's gone up a little bit. But yeah, just hand the ball off to Ollie, and if because they're not good against the run at all. And if they stack the box, well, you saw what happened last week. You got guys running all over the field getting these 10, 15-yard catches, and a couple of them getting a little yak afterwards, yards after catch. Yeah, I don't see any way that UCF hangs with them. Glad it's not a night game, but the bounce house. It's like the space thing. I don't know. I'm not making fun of it. I don't know the name. I don't space night, space day, something. I also heard there's some big deal going on, and a lot of the college kids may not even go to the game because Oklahoma State fans would maybe, to put things in ways that you'd relate to, calf fry was going on during a game. You'd lose a lot of students. You would. But that's something like that's going on is what the UCF guy told me. And they're begging for students to be there. We'll see if they show up or not. Okay. Other things going on. As if there wasn't enough. How many of y'all saw, and we didn't do a show yesterday, so how many of y'all saw LSU get their clock cleaned, the women's basketball program, and Kim, golly, what's her name after all these years? Anyway, Kim gets smoked wearing her Batman Joker outfit, and all the girls with their Miss Lee press-on nails and their long eyelashes. Sorry, I'm old school, folks. I watched Iowa girls the other night. They don't wear makeup. They don't have long fingernails. They don't paint their fingernails. They pull their hair back. They don't try to look like fashion models. But you remember when Saban came out and said his team had been eating the rat poison? Well, of course, rat poison. What is that? That's reading your news clippings and all that good stuff, right? Hold on, I'm going to try to get this where I can see a little better. Still trying to figure out how to kind of do these things, but oh gosh, when you can't see yourself, kind of sucks. Not that I want to see myself often, but okay, here we go. Did I enter my banner there? Still got too many things going on here. Way too many things going on. Anyway, okay, so other things going on. Oklahoma State men's basketball gets beat opening game by lowly Abilene Christian. And I'm not making fun of Abilene Christian because it's where my mom went to school, but there's no way. No, listen, if there are 26 guys on a court playing pickup, and I watch him play a couple games, and the Abilene Christian guy gets to watch his games, there's going to be 13 guys that he can't even talk to that would come to Oklahoma State, and there's 13 guys playing for Abilene Christian that didn't get a look from Oklahoma State. So who should win? Yeah, that's what we're talking about. And listen, the guy's a great human being. He really is. And he'll be successful in a lot of things. Recruit, he can speak. He's great with the loves. He's a great Christian guy. He's a great family guy. He's got one little flaw. Can't coach his way out of a paper sack. Somebody said, well, he's a great guy. Well, you know what? My wife is the best woman in the world. And I love her to death. But I don't want her coaching the Cowboys either. Okay? You get what I'm saying? Gotcha. Okay. Jump on in. Have a swim to do our drawings after the show because there are some folks who said, hey, I'm going to go ahead and subscribe during the show on there. So we'll wait and let those folks get on there. And one of these days, I'm going to figure out how on earth do I get to this? This drives me crazy. Anyway, all right, other things going on. And oh my goodness, we have got so much. I want to thank our sponsors first and foremost, though. Of course, Karen Johnson at Insignia. You see I'm wearing the hat. And you can get hold of her at Karen Key Largo. If you're on Twitter, Facebook, though, I've got a couple of her uniform designs out there and uniform things you can order. And we're going to be giving away, of course, some great T-shirts here in a little while that she puts together for us. Karen Johnson at Insignia and Scott Hammer at Cruise Planners, our official vacation planner of Greg Swaim Sports. Helping Hands, Ray of Sunshine, Market City Welch. They help those folks stay in their homes a little longer. You got a mom and dad somewhere in Oklahoma that need that help so they can stay in their home. Nobody better to call than Helping Hands Ray of Sunshine. And, of course, our corporate sponsors, DoorDash and Wendy's. And, yeah, we're having fun today. Hey, did you watch that Louisville game last night? Louisville escapes Virginia. Yeah, Louisville was hanging on the edge. You don't want to play a Thursday night or Friday night game. You sure don't want to do it on the road, especially when you're the heavy favorite. Louisville for them was home, and that probably made all the difference. Other things going on. Yeah, let's see. Greg, I love Mike, but he's not doing the job. I think you're talking about Mike Boynton, because Mike Gundy's doing the job right now. Wasn't early, and you know what's great? He admits it. He absolutely admits it. Got a couple others here on the Wendy's line. Let's see here. Some of the better ones. Greg, you suck. Okay, well, it happens. I mean, people say stuff like that too. I'll read it out there for you, unless it's got real bad language or whatever. Greg, don't know why you hate OU so much. Where did they touch you? Whatever. Listen, I don't like OU because I went to OSU. How about that? OU fans are finally the ones that are going, well, I root for OU all the time unless they play Oklahoma State or what is it? No, I root for Oklahoma State all the time unless they play my Sooners. We don't want you rooting for us. How about that? We're not going to root for you. We don't want you root for us. We hope you fail miserably in the SEC. Now, there are some Oklahoma State fans who, they've got Oklahoma kids on the team. What, about 5? I mean, annually. Oklahoma State don't have a lot of Oklahoma guys on the team compared to the state of Texas. They're Texas kids for the most part. I married into a family that is kind of neutral, and a lot of them are just flat out OU, and that's fine. If you actually went to school there, well, what do you have to go to school? But you don't. But if you don't know anything about the university that your football team represents, it's kind of sad. You should know. I remember when we were in grad school, we did a couple of surveys outside of Norman during games and outside of Stillwater during games. And a couple of the questions were, do you work there? Did you go to school there? Are your kids going to school there? Found out roughly 75% of OU fans had no tie-in whatsoever with the university, other than they're just pro football fans, basically, because we don't have pro football in the state of Oklahoma. Whereas roughly 75% of Oklahoma State fans did have a connection. And I get it. I moved to the state in 78. I knew nothing about Oklahoma State, other than my dad was getting ready to work there. About Oklahoma, I'd seen them on TV, and that was back when you only got a few games a week, so it's pretty much, the Blue Bloods. I saw them play Texas, and I saw them play Nebraska, and I don't remember ever seeing them play anybody else except for maybe a bowl. But back then, it was the same teams all week long, and college football blew up, and ironically, it blew up because of Oklahoma and Georgia filing suit against the NCAA in 1984 and founding the CFB, and college football exploded. ESPN comes along, and Fox Sports, all the other ones that are running it now, probably even more, was getting more into streaming. But college football is as healthy as it's ever been. Now, NIL, I tell you where I am a big fan of NIL. We'll go back to LSU and Iowa and women's basketball. Because women's basketball, they don't lose players to the WNBA. And now that the stars in college are getting much more than they'll ever get from the WNBA as far as salary. Now, they'll get endorsement money on top of that. But the 2 top players in the country, 3 or 4 top players in the country, all make more than $1 million a year. And they won't make anywhere near that playing in the WNBA. So maybe they'll do something else like the Miami Twins did. They make far more money on their social media than they could have ever, done playing in the WNBA. So, that's for NIL. There are some good things, And for the portal, there are some good things. And the TV people brought it up on ABC last Saturday. But Bowman, perfect example why the portal works. A lot of reasons it doesn't work, and a lot of reasons why guys jump the gun and don't wait their turn. But they, and if you're a freshman and you're really good, and you're a 5-star coming out, and you're going to sign with the blue blood, right? And then you don't get a play. And you haven't, since you were 5 years old playing Pee Wee football, you haven't ever sat on the bench in your life. And now you're sitting on the bench, right? It's hard. It's real. You're away from home for the first time, and you're not playing. So you're probably going to hit the portal. Oklahoma gets as many 5-stars as just about anybody in the country, but they're going to lose players to the portal. Everybody, Alabama, man, there's hardly a game I watch anymore where some guy makes a run or a tackle and, yeah, this is an Alabama transfer. Look them up. Yeah, they were a 5-star, but they didn't get a lot of PT there, so they left. Very understandable. Very understandable. Back to this Harbaugh thing. Swain, you hate Michigan. No, I don't hate Michigan. Absolutely do not hate Michigan. Matter of fact, I root for Michigan most times. I grew up a Purdue fan as a little kid up from age 5 to 16, so I don't mind watching Purdue knock off anybody in the Big Ten, but they're usually not going to do it, so I understand. But I loved, when I was a kid, Michigan had come to Purdue, kill us about every time, except my 8th grade year, we upset them when they were number 1. I remember the band used to play Who's Afraid of the Big Bad Wolf, which I thought was pretty funny because Michigan's the Wolverines. They didn't have a Wolverine mascot, but they brought this little dog, and some of you Michigan fans will have to let me know. They brought this little dog, and the guy would come out and throw a Frisbee about 25 yards, and the dog would jump up, catch it in his mouth, and thought that was pretty cool as a kid. Of course, loved their helmets. Michigan has the best helmets in the country, bar none. They don't have to get anything fancy and go retro or change them because they've had basically the same uniforms forever. Now they will. Sometimes they go dark blue or maize and blue. So they go blue tops, blue bottoms. Sometimes they go all white on the road. Back when I was a kid, it was always blue with the maize pants on at home and white shirts with the maize pants on the road. I loved it. I thought Michigan was, matter of fact, my sons played on 2 state championship football teams, and they were the Wolverines, the Garber Wolverines. It was the Michigan design, but it was silver and maroon, silver and maroon instead of maize and blue. But I don't hate Michigan at all. Respect their academics, but buddy, you better understand, you would absolutely better understand there's a good chance that your academics are going to suffer. At least on the national level, your reputation is suffering greatly. Question I want from all of you. Will Harbaugh coach tomorrow? He's been suspended for 2 games, but they're filing an injunction. Will he show up on the field in Happy Valley tomorrow? And if he does, obviously that will be very interesting. He will get booed vociferously by 108,000 rabid Penn State fans. So that should be interesting as well. Spongy just asked about Karen Johnson. How do I get hold of your uniform design? Well, a lot of ways you can get hold of her. If you're on Twitter or Facebook and you follow me, just go down the page a little bit and you'll see like a picture on one of the posts with some uniforms on it, and it'll have all Karen's contact information. But if you're on Twitter right now, you can get hold of her at Karen Key Largo, and she'll take care of you. Scott Hammer at Cruise Planners, he does all of our vacations. He can do yours too, the best prices, and he'll custom for you. He will take care of you. Tell him Swain sent you. For all these folks, Helping Hands, Ray of Sunshine, Mark and Cindy Welch, helping your folks stay in their home longer. And my wife works for them, so it's a good deal. All these folks are more than sponsors. They're friends. And, of course, our corporate sponsors, DoorDash and Wendy's. Just had some Wendy's last night, brought to me by DoorDash. I mean, I love it. love it. Convenience. And it's going to get real cold out there. And you're going to be hungry, and you can't really decide what you want. There's nothing in the house, and you don't have time to go get groceries, so you need to go get some food. And you can't, you don't want to get out in the snow and the ice. You don't want to have to scrape off your car and let it warm up for 15 minutes and all that good stuff. DoorDash, get the DoorDash app and put in there Wendy's and great food, fill you up. Never have to get out of your house. Don't have to put on your snowshoes or anything like that. Just stay in the house. Pick it up in your underwear if you have to. They'll drop it off right at your front door. You don't have to talk to anybody. I love it. Love it. Wish they'd have had this when I was a kid. It would have been terrific. Okay, Slame, you're a little hard on the kid for leaving Ole Miss. Well, he's still there. He's still on a non-athletic scholarship, which is what they put kids that are in this situation. And if he has some true issues, I want him to get help. I don't want him to ignore the coach and things like that. And go in, get it over with, cut ties. I mean, you had 8 months to do it. And then when you go in to do it, you bring your phone and you record it, which obviously you knew you were going to file a lawsuit. You're not going to win, though, because, and here's the deal. You know this better than anybody. Coaches yell. That's what they do. Sometimes they might even call you a name that might send you in your feels a little bit. You don't need to be playing college football, buddy. I sound like, what was that, Colorado coach, Dan Hawkins years ago. Back then I think it was Big 12 football. It's Big 12 football, man. This ain't intramurals. Well, he's not wrong. But look, very few people can play college football or college basketball. And if you're easily offended, you're not one of them. I don't care how talented you are. The other thing. Oh, my gosh. How did I forget this? I didn't even put this on the preview stuff. Some of you know, I absolutely cannot stand LeBron James as a human being. I respect his game. But the other night, the Lakers filed a formal complaint, sent it to the NBA, and said, hey, here's some plays where we thought LeBron was fouled. Oh, my gosh, poor guy. He only makes $58 trillion a year. LeBron, quit crying. LA, quit crying. Toughen up, Buttercup. That's what my dad always said to me. Toughen up, Buttercup. Jeez. Anyway. Oh, gosh. Oh, my gosh. Slame, I'm an Ohio State fan. I absolutely love today's stuff. Do you think he'll coach tomorrow? Talking about Harbaugh. Yeah, I think Michigan's going to get an injunction. By the way, Michigan fans are losing their dang minds. Not so much they didn't know this was coming out, but we thought it would come out on Monday, maybe Tuesday, Wednesday. It came out today, holiday. So a little tougher to get hold of a judge and to file your injunction. So that's going to be the news that breaks later. We might have a special show here in a little while if something breaks on that. But what kind of reception do you think Harbaugh is going to get if he has to get an injunction to be there tomorrow against Penn State and Happy Valley? Yeesh. Probably not going to be a pleasant welcome. What do you think? Well, it's not going to be anyway. But for the Michigan team and the rest of the coaches. But if Harbaugh shows up, because 13 of the 14 schools in the Big Ten are absolutely pissed at Michigan. They all filed in because they've been doing this for a long, long time. They got caught. And here's the deal. There's going to be a lot more come out, but they had enough to suspend him. And somebody said, well, how can you suspend someone without due process? Easy. Hey, what happens to a cop when he has to discharge his weapon to stop a crime? What happens to the cop? Well, kind of guilty till proven innocent, because they're almost always put on suspension with pay until all the circumstances are known, right? And it takes time to do that. Well, that's what happened, because Harbaugh's going to get paid. He's paid by the University of Michigan, not the Big Ten. So he's going to get paid whether he's there or not, but he needs to be on suspension. and he needs to serve that suspension. In Michigan, you're talking about Penn State, which you should win anyway. And then next week, who? Another Casper the Ghost, because there's only 2 or 3 teams with a pulse in the Big Ten. And then you're going to get Ohio State, and he's going to get a coach then unless he's, suspended again. By the way, Harbaugh will be, as far as I know, and if you know anything differently, please let me know, because I'm going to run with it till I hear differently. Harbaugh is the first coach that I know of ever to be suspended twice in the same season. Matter of fact, if he serves these 2 games, in addition to the 3 games he's already done, he'll have been suspended for more games than he actually coached this year, and he'll have been suspended for more games this year than bowl games he's actually won. That's embarrassing, Michigan. Come on. Take your I almost said crimson and cream because they're the same way, but take off your maize and blue glasses, and holy smokes, I can't even believe you're because he beat Ohio State twice. Let's be honest. He beat Ohio State twice, and he went to the playoffs last year. And so that's the only reason you're sticking up for him. If he loses, I will bet the house, my everything, if Harbaugh had lost these last 2 years to to Ohio State, in addition to all the other years he lost to Ohio State, you'd say, see ya. You're about ready to do that 2 years anyway, 2 years ago. Michigan, you've been found out. You're not an academic elite institution anymore. You know why? Because you bend over backwards for your football team at the expense of your institution. Your reputation is getting dragged through the mud nationally. You may not know it, but I watch a lot of sports shows during the day to make sure I'm caught up on all the big items going on during the day. There's nobody who's got your back on this one. Nobody. Unless you're a Michigan fan, you think Harbaugh needs to go. Due process my butt. Suspend him now. In the next 2 weeks, you'll find out more, and you'll have enough to fire him. I'll be willing to bet at least $1,000 that he won't be there next year. I don't think he can be. And as far as Michigan leaving the Big Ten, that is not simply going to happen. Not going to happen. Hey, that's about going to do it. I want to thank our great sponsor again, Helping Hands, Ray of Sunshine, Mark and Cindy Welch, Scott Hammer, Cruise Planners, Karen Johnson, Insignia, and, of course, she helps us with Greg's Gear as well. And, of course, our corporate sponsors, DoorDash and Wendy's. That is about going to do it. And have a great weekend, everyone.